streets of Iraq, there is your resistance. I mean, you want to know who the resistance is coming from? It's mostly Sunni, and that's because the CPA disbanded the army. So I don't think these guys are masterminds. They're incompetent. They're evil. They'll take their means to any point, but I don't think they're overwhelmingly competent. The supply lines in Baghdad are being cut right now, and the surge has not cut true deaths. I would go more into that. In Afghanistan, the Taliban resurgence cannot be stopped, and they've had NATO troops come in there. That's not working either, and many of the CIA warlords who control that country and the country's opium crops, that is to say the CIA's opium crops, are in danger of losing power right now, and Hamid Karzai has a little fiefdom in Kabul. That man is not running anything. He doesn't run Afghanistan any more than I run Austin, Texas, because I'm on a stage here, you know? And that's what it is. It's a stage. It's stage managed. The warlords control the country. Additionally, Tarpley touched on this a little the other day. Israel's been humiliated in Lebanon. People don't realize that. They use white phosphorus bombs on men, women, and children. They use cluster bombs. These things don't explode for a while, so you'll be walking down in southern Lebanon. I mean, the region is uninhabitable now. And they say, well, it was a war on Hezbollah. No. It's a war on Lebanon. It's a war on Arab independence. It's a war to destroy any country. And sometimes it's not even that the country poses a threat. It's more of a genocidal, it's a racial agenda on the part of the radical Israelis, the people in the Kadima, the Likud party, the people who believe that Arabs have no right to exist, that they are a lower form of life, that these people deserve to be killed. And, of course, what's the neocon Pentagon solution to all this, all these military disasters? Double down. I say they're like a degenerate gambler. You've seen that in the movies where the guy just keeps losing. He says, double down. Double down, double down, double down. It's just going to be like degenerate gamblers who can't get away from the casino table. So what do? Iraq surge, jump into Iran. And if you don't think that those troops are being put there near the border for Iran, I got another thing coming for you. Some of them are being put in Baghdad. Not all of them. A lot of them are going to the border. This is the preparation for ground forces to occupy Iran. I mean, they don't really think that they can invade, but they think maybe after we bomb it, we can occupy the oil regions in Khuzestan. So my thesis right now, people say, are we going to have war with Iran? I mean, I walk around and I say to people, do you think we're going to have war with Iran? I'm interested. What do you think? Well, I'm not even doing justice to myself. We're at war with Iran right now. Colonel Sam Gardner, who is a top Air Force colonel, went on CNN and said there have been operations by intelligence agencies inside Iran since 2006. No joke. Seymour Hersh of the New Yorker magazine says the CIA, Pentagon, Mossad, and MI6 are funding and training terrorist campaigns. Now, who are these terrorists who are running around? This is the Mujahideen ek Khalq, who are on the State Department's terror watch list, are at the western Iraqi border. They have Kurdish PKK in Kurdistan Free Life Party in southern Turkey and northern Iraq. Their presence is growing so fast that the Turks are now shelling northern Iraq. If you go on Google and type in Turks shell northern Iraq, that's how bad the problem is getting. Even Turkey feels threatened by how much of the growth there has been in the PKK. They're training Baluchi tribes from East Pakistan. Now, you remember that map I showed you and you saw free Baluchistan? That's the deal that's being cut. They say, you help us take over Iran, and we'll slice you off a little piece of Pakistan. How does that sound? Divide, conquer, balkanize. And this is how they do it. They're bribing people off. They have the Azeri rebels in the north of Iran who are being bribed off. And of course, the biggest population that's being bribed off is the Arab population in Khuzestan. Well, what's Khuzestan, or the Arabistan province? Well, that's where the minority Arab population is in Iran. It's also where 90% of the oil wealth is located. 90% of the oil fields are in a small southwestern portion of Iran known as Khuzestan, right on the Persian Gulf right there. And this is where all the oil fields are, so they need to rile these people up. It's very convenient for the neocons. There is a large minority Arab population there, and there's been a number of bus and bombings and pipeline bombings. I'm going to talk about that. So it's not just the brink of this sort of covert war, because this is more like Iran-Contra, right, where we have the Contras running through and murdering men, women, and children. We're on the brink of a nuclear war. Now, one of the things that bothers me is I have to, I spend all my day researching, and I have to go online and see them saying, 2 carrier groups in the Gulf. There's 2 carrier groups in the Gulf. Now, see, the numbers lie. They'll tell you a little bit of the truth. It's always worse, almost always. It's 5 carrier groups. Go online and research this. I encourage everyone out there. I mean, maybe my information's wrong. It's not, but go on their own websites. I mean, I encourage you. Go on the Nimitz website, but the ones they're not talking about are the Boxer and the Baton Strike groups. Go on their own website. In fact, if you go on the USS Boxer's website as of like a day ago, picture from just a few days ago, We're in the Persian Gulf. They got the soldiers. They're doing things. They're on the submarines. It's great, you know. But the media doesn't cover it. But their own website does. So what's going on? We have the USS Nimitz, USS Stennis, the Boxer, the Baton Strike Group, and a French carrier group. That's 5 by my numbers, although there's never much one for math. They have hundreds of attack planes and helicopters, missiles, submarines, minesweepers. And the attack, according to Colonel Gardner, is going to be launched from Bulgaria and Romania, where the B-2 bombers will refuel and drop their nuclear munitions. Now, when are the troops arriving? Well, I just go online and look at their own websites, and they're coming in May, early June. So when's the attack coming? Well, Colonel Gardner says in the last days before the attacks, the troops will arrive in Bulgaria. Okay, so let's look to May, June. Now look, if it doesn't happen, don't come to me and say, you said it was going to happen and it didn't happen. But, I mean, yeah, we're living at the brink of the apocalypse right now. I mean, we are surfing the edge of the apocalypse, and this is no joke. I take him dead serious. Colonel Gardner represents a faction within the military that doesn't want this to happen. He's trying to warn us. We better take him real seriously. There's possible flyovers from the United Arab Emirates and Qatar. These are 2 countries in the Gulf Cooperation Council that are being bribed off by Israel and the U.S. They're also going to use the Diego Garcia base in the Indian Ocean, where they're going to have the B-2 bombers come and drop nuclear munitions for this planned genocide against the Iranian people. 70 million of them there who are going to suffer from this because they have the unfortunate fate of sitting on mass oil and natural gas resources. They're also talking about an Israeli strike, potentially nuclear, according to Ehud Olmert, Avigdor Lieberman, the IDF, and I say retired Mossad. Yes, very retired Mossad. You know anything about the Mossad or Viktor Otrovsky, you know nobody retires from Mossad. They're talking about 1,500 targets right now. I think I hear in the media, they say, well, we're doing 50 to 100 targets. No. It's 1,500. They're going to bomb the nuclear plants, right, and that'll create a new global Chernobyl. They're also going to bomb the chemical plants, the industrial plants. I mean, that country, when these neocons like Rush Limbaugh get up there and they say parking lot, parking lot, parking lot, yeah, they're probably going to get what they want if this plan goes through, and that's why it's imperative we stop them. A couple more things here. I said generals warning of military collapse. I touched on Colonel Gardner. How do we know about some of this stuff? There's a group within the Joint Chiefs right now that's freaking out. It's not just me. I mean, I'm no military expert. They probably know a lot more about losing wars right now, and they say our military's at the brink. Did you see Time magazine about a week ago? It said our military's at the brink. We can't fight another war. There is a group that's trying to warn us. There's rebellion even within the ranks of the military. There's insurrection in the lower ranks in Iraq right now. There's rumors of mutiny, and certainly at the top ranks they can't even keep it together. Just a couple more things here. They put 16 F-16 fighters at the Incirlik base in southern Turkey. Southern Turkey, right above northern Iran. That's a sign that the invasion is coming. Another thing, they've had 4 plane crashes since 2001 with Revolutionary Guard members on board, killing hundreds of them. So everyone during the crisis was saying, Ahmadinejad, what are you doing? Show patience. You know they're trying to put the trap on you. It's true, I wish he hadn't done it, but since 2001, can you imagine if 4 U.S. military planes blew up, killing hundreds of our troops? And it's not just troops. These are top intelligence chiefs, top people within the military, top commanders being murdered, executed by having their planes blow up. You look at the side of the planes, big circle in the plane. I mean, these things are blown out of the sky with a munition inside. So just, you know, it's quite clear. The Iranians are aware of this. There's been an assassination of a top Iranian nuclear scientist, abduction of top Iranian diplomats who have been tortured, by the way, waterboarded. They've had skin ripped off, had their fingernails ripped off. In fact, in the recent case with the 15 abducted UK soldiers, they released a diplomat from Iran who came back and had torture marks all over him. Very nice what's happening to top-level Iranian diplomats. Pipeline and bus bombings in Khuzestan, which I talked about. Well, got to get that oil, so you got to bomb those pipelines to get the region all fired up. Iran Freedom Support Act was passed in October 2006. This begins the investigation and really cutoff of many Iranian banks. The top Iranian banks can no longer function in the international finance system. This is economic warfare against the people of Iran. So these retired generals are warning of disaster. This is General Hoare, Kern, Zinni, Odom, and many more. These are top-level people. These are top-level Marines. Zinni was a top commander in Iraq. Odom was a top NSA guy. This is the military-industrial complex saying, even we're scared about this. I mean, these people are so crazy, we think they're going to blow up the world. And what do they always say? Iraq is bad enough. Don't go into Iran. There's rumors of resignations within the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They're saying as many as 6 people could resign. That's from Robert Perry, who was a top Iran-Contra investigator and journalist. Wayne White from the State Department warns a nuclear, of course, I spelled it like Bush there, nuclear, I should have just said nuclear attack is imminent. And of course, we have the warning from Zbigniew Brzezinski, who in February says, they might engineer something. They might do an attack. They might stage something on American soil and try to get this done. So what's the potential? A Gulf of Tonkin or USS Liberty. And I didn't mean to do this, but I do want to say, a lot of us never talk about the Liberty. Look into the Liberty, 1967. You begin to understand the history of Israeli false flag terrorism. I also encourage people to look up the Lavon affair and the, quote, Al-Qaeda cells in Israel, which have been broken up and been found to have Mossad agents in them. So is Iran the endgame war? I would argue it is. This is not merely a continuation of policy in the Middle East. This is the beginning of a radical new break for a world war. The CIA has judged Iran to be 9 years away from the bomb, and even radical think tanks say they're 3 years away. Think about that. So there's the nuclear threat, this existential, this threat that Iran is going to get us. It's largely manufactured. Now the IAEA says Iran's nuclear program is completely within the rules. And it's not only that, it's decrepit. It's breaking down. Their centrifuges, when they spin, they disintegrate. Then Ahmadinejad, when he says, we've got these working power plants, then that is largely propaganda. That is for internal consumption of the Iranian people. The propaganda source of these nuclear rumors, Iran-Syria Operations Group. This is Abramson. This is William Ludi. This is the Douglas Feith network of the Israelis who pumped this stuff out. I'm going to get into the OSP. And the same people that laid out the phony propaganda, the manufactured case for war, like Doug Feith, that network is now working in the ISOG, pushing the same garbage with the same journalists and the same newspapers and the same controlled corporate media telling you, be afraid, they're going to get you now. Oh, we lied to you, but we're really being serious this time, we swear. Just believe us, please. Now, what are the 3 reasons this is happening? Number 1, Israeli blackmail and threats to invade. Avigdor Lieberman came here in January and said to Bush, either you invade in the next 6 months or we will. How does that sound? I mean, the brazenness of Israel. I'm going to talk about that. Iran is switching from euros to Iranian rials and switching from dollars to Iranian